Well, we're here at the Valley Club in Sun Valley, Idaho. If you've watched our previous videos, we showed you a little unboxing of the TurfRad sensor along with how to build the mount. Now we're here ready to install the mount on a fairway unit, and that's what this video will be about, is how do we install it, and then how do we go ahead and set this up so it can communicate with our Wi-Fi, send that information up to the TurfRad cloud, and then able to process that so it shows up in Task Tracker. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's get started. So here we are on the hood of this traction unit, and I've already gone ahead and I've placed some markers here to indicate where I want to go ahead and mount our steel plates. Because this is a fiberglass unit, magnets won't stick to fiberglass obviously, so they've included some steel plates in the mount that we can go ahead and mount to these with some 3N tape. I think the important thing here to cover is make sure that this hood is as clean as you can get. I've gone ahead and cleaned this off with just some soap and water and then let it dry. You can use an alcohol wipe too, that dries a little bit faster. But once I've done that, I've gone ahead and marked where I want to have my steel plates, and you can see these stickers here representing where I want those. I'll go ahead and grab the mount right now and we'll show you how that fits on. So you can kind of see here, if I put these plates here, they're going to line up with these stickers. And right here I've got a pretty good indication that everything is nice and straight. This sensor is hanging off the unit, so it has a clear view of the ground, and it's ready to take measurements. So we do want to remember to make sure that this sensor has a clear view of the ground. The beam of this does not read directly straight down. It reads about at an angle like this. So it actually almost matches the slope of this traction unit. So from the center here, it's going to shoot that ground, and it's going to shoot out like this. So this has a pretty clear view of the turf, even though it is pretty closely mounted to the traction unit. If you feel you need to get out farther, these legs can adjust back, and you can go ahead and make sure that these legs are where you want it before you actually mark it on your traction unit. But the big thing is make sure this has a clear view of that ground coming out. Once you have that, it's really time to start mounting the plates. So I've gone ahead and I've removed the metal plates from the actual mount of the sensor so I can go ahead and adhere those to the hood of this traction unit. And it's important when we mark these that the plates are on the unit so we get the proper distance and spacing for the mount. But now that I have this, I'm going to go ahead and start sticking these on. Again, a nice clean surface here. I'm going to go ahead and line these up with our stickers or our marks. I'm using a sticker. You can use anything you want. I didn't want to mar up this unit at all. This adhesion is pretty strong, but usually the best is to let this sit, get some good pressure on it, but to let this sit for 24 hours before we actually attach the mount to it. That way we get maximum adhesion to the unit without it popping off. Once we have that, go ahead and stick those on. And hopefully if I've measured everything correctly, it should fit without an issue. Okay, and those have been mounted. Once those are mounted, we can go ahead and remove our indicators. And I would recommend you let that sit for 24 hours. Well, now it's time to start mounting the sensor. And so we've got our metal plates already installed on the unit. Let's go ahead and stick this on and see how it looks. So here's our unit. Just gonna go ahead, put the first one on. It snaps right into place. And it does have a pretty strong bond to it, so I can really feel this moving the hood of that John Deere. So I just don't think this is popping off at all. So these are securely in place, and I think it's ready to go. If we look at the sensor, you'll see it has a nice clear view of the ground. So if I were to take about 17 inch or follow this down, it's going to miss this metal bar down there, which is good. And then it has a nice clear view of that turf. So we've gone ahead and mounted the sensor. It feels pretty secure on there. I don't feel like this is gonna pop off even when you hit some major bumps or roots with this unit. So it's on there pretty well. The next thing we have to do is hook up our power supply and our GPS cable. So now it's time to hook up the GPS cable. We have our GPS here, and we want to make sure that we are applying the GPS to the back of the mount. That way, this is going to not interfere with any of the L-band microwaves, those passive microwaves that are entering the system. Closer up here, probably still work, but it's recommended that we go ahead and put that as far away from the unit as possible. The next step is our power source. We want to go ahead and plug this into our 12-volt adapter into the unit. This one has a cigarette lighter, which this will fit perfectly in. Some units do have USB, and there is an adapter for USB if we need to supply something like that to you as well. But for this is going to be very simple. We'll go ahead and install this into that 12-volt socket, and we should have power to the unit, and that will be our next step in setting up the app. So we need to power up this unit in order to set up our app and get everything configured right so we're ready to start taking measurements. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and plug this into our power supply. This unit has a 12-volt adapter, as I mentioned. I'm gonna climb up here, and for the sake of this demo, I'm just gonna go ahead and just plug that into the unit. Perfect. And once this is plugged in, there is a light on here that will light up red if we have power to the unit. So we'll go ahead and power this up. That way we can start the setup portion of the sensor. All right, so the unit is now powered up. I do see the red light on here, so that means this unit is getting power. The next step is to set up the app. So now that we have our sensor set up, we've verified that it has power. The 12-volt is on. It's turned to accessory mode on here, so I can see the red light. The next thing is to set up the app. So let's go ahead and go to our app store on our iPhone or your Play Store on your Google account. I'm going to be using the iPhone to set this up, but it can work with Android as well. And so we're going to go ahead and type in TurfRad here. And we're going to do a search for that, and we're going to go ahead and download that onto our phones. Once we have that downloaded, we can go ahead and start the install process. Looks like it's downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and hit open. It's going to open up my device, and we're going to want to create a user account so we can look at this in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and register and get this going for right now. Go ahead and set the terms and conditions, and we'll go ahead and hit register. It says user registered. So then I'm going to go up here and hit the back button. I'm going to log in, and then it's saying that it wants to use my Bluetooth, which I'm going to allow. This is set up via Bluetooth. You'll use this once when you're actually doing your device, and right now we are searching for devices. So it has found our device. We'll go ahead and click on it. We'll enter our password. It should be admin, all lowercase, and admin, all lowercase. And we'll go ahead and refresh, and now we'll wait. It says connecting to device. And now that it's connected to the device, you're ready to go. Now I will say, make sure you enter that password and username correctly. I didn't do it the first time, and it took a little bit for me to figure out that it was not connecting, and I had to restart the app. So if you enter it incorrectly, go ahead and just close out the app and restart it. All right, now we've seen that it's found our location. So we're gonna hit on that little home icon, and we're gonna get the garage radius and the course radius. The garage radius is the area where this unit will be uploading the data. So make that garage radius big enough that the unit's gonna be able to sit there for a while and get that data uploaded. Probably 5 minutes, 10 at max. And then the course radius is a radius that, it sounds a little different, but the course radius is measurements we're not gonna take, the sensor won't start taking measurements within. So we can set that a little bit wider, so once it enters our maintenance facility here, it's not going to be taking measurements. But once it gets outside that course radius, then we're going to start to see measurements being taken. So go ahead, I'm just going to go ahead and set it at garage radius from this Wi-Fi center, probably at about 60 meters or 80. That's right around 100, and that's right around 60 yards, or a little bit longer, farther than that. And then I'm going to set our course radius just a little bit outside that, maybe at 100 meters, roughly 300 feet. I'm American, so that's what it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead, okay. So we have our radius set to 60 meters and 120. We can go to the map, hit OK here. It's going to save those radiometer configurations back to this unit. So when it's inside these circles, it's going to start its upload, or it's going to start taking measurements. So let's just click on the map next to it, and we'll see that those circles, so verify that those look pretty decent. If they look good to you, I think we're ready to start taking our units. The next thing we have to do is set up our Wi-Fi, and you'll see there's a little Wi-Fi icon in the lower corner. We're going to click on that, and it's going to go ahead and scan for any Wi-Fi. We're going to be using the maintenance. We're going to enter our password in there. We're going to save those configurations, and I believe that if it saved it, it's set and ready to go. So hopefully our Wi-Fi is all set up and we're ready to move on to the next step. I believe that's everything we need. All right, so what I'm going to do here is, now that I have everything set up, I'm just going to go ahead and close up the app just by swiping up on it. And I'm just going to go ahead and go back into the app to verify that the sensor's found and that we have these double check marks that they're looking for. So I can see here that, serial number 19, which matches the serial number on this unit, which is 19. It is set up, it has double check marks, so that indicates that our radius has been set up and our Wi-Fi has been set up. And the next thing to do is, we don't need this app anymore to go forward. We can go ahead and take this unit out and start taking measurements. Once it gets back within those circles, we should have data coming into the Task Tracker platform. So I hope this has helped you set up the app. Let me know if you have any questions. Well, we're out here taking our first scans while we mow, and we're actually doing them all right now, so that's pretty cool. We're gonna make some runs up and down the fairway. We're gonna come back to the shop and see how that uploads and what it looks like in Task Tracker.